Okay, get ready to dive deep. We are ripping open the sources you sent us today.
We are.
And we're exploring something that seems incredibly simple, right? Buttermilk.
It seems simple, yeah.
But it's hiding this surprisingly rich, really complex story.
Absolutely. Our mission today really is to pull out the most fascinating bits, the history, the health impacts, its global significance.
Show you why it's so much more than just, leftover butter water.
Exactly. Far more.
We're talking accidental ancient origins, some powerful health secrets, kitchen science, real magic. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Starting right at the beginning. It wasn't something someone tried to invent, was it? More of an accident.
Not at all. It was a discovery, just a natural consequence of churning butter from cream.
Right.
Imagine early farmers, needing every bit of food from their animals, that liquid left behind. That wasn't waste, it was sustenance.
And we're talking ancient here. The sources point to Sumerian temples around 2550 BCE.
That's the earliest visual evidence, yeah. Depictions of butter churning.
So if they were churning butter?
They were making buttermilk. Precisely. And ancient India, too, has this incredibly deep tradition, well before 1 CE.
You mean Takra?
Exactly, Takra. Think of it as buttermilk, but often prepared specifically, maybe spiced or medicated. It was really revered in Ayurveda.
Wow. For health reasons?
Yeah, for various therapeutic purposes, especially digestive health.
Okay, so that's the traditional stuff. Natural byproduct, maybe from slightly fermented cream. But then there's this, big shift, a great divide almost.
Yes, the move to what we now call cultured buttermilk. This really took off with pasteurization and, industrial dairy.
Because pasteurization, it kills the good stuff, the natural bacteria.
It does. It killed off those bacteria that would naturally ferment the cream or milk. So producers needed a way to get that tang back consistently.
So they started adding specific cultures.
Right. They take pasteurized milk, often low-fat or skim milk now, and deliberately ferment it with cultures like Lactococcus lactis or Lactobacillus.
Which is genuinely funny, isn't it? The name buttermilk makes you think, oh, rich, fatty.
Totally misleading.
But the kind you mostly buy now is actually low-fat.
Usually, yeah. And its status, its perception, has shifted so much over time.
Right, from a prize drink or that Ayurvedic takra.
To sometimes just animal feed or a vital staple for enslaved people because it was nutritious and available.
And now, a key baking ingredient worldwide. It really shows how context matters, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That history is crucial. Okay, so let's jump into the health side now. Because beyond that nice tang, buttermilk is, it's surprisingly good for you.
Nutrient dense, the sources say.
Definitely. Good source of protein, calcium, B12, riboflavin, potassium, quite a list.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting and where that traditional versus cultured thing matters again. Probiotics, right?
Yes. Modern cultured buttermilk is fantastic for that. It's full of those live, beneficial bacteria, Lactobacillus, bifidobacterium.
Ones everyone talks about for gut health, digestion, immunity.
Exactly. That's a well-known perk of fermented foods. But what's fascinating, digging into these sources, is how traditional buttermilk might offer more. Because it comes from churning cream, actual butter making.
Right.
It naturally contains bits of something called the milk-fat globule membrane. MFGM.
MFGM.
Okay. So what's that? It's basically the layer around the fat droplets in milk. It's complex, full of unique phospholipids and proteins. And some studies mentioned are linking these MFGM bits to potential heart benefits, like helping lower cholesterol, maybe blood pressure.
Wow. So wait, the type of buttermilk you drink could actually change the specific health benefits you might get.
It looks that way. It raises a really interesting question for you, the listener. Is the standard cultured buttermilk giving you everything the original form offered?
That's something to think about. And it's easier to digest for some people too, right? Lower lactose?
Generally, yes. The fermentation breaks down some lactose, so often better for mild intolerance, but definitely not for serious milk allergies or, protein issues.
And we should mention, sodium in commercial ones can be high sometimes.
Good point. Or potential issues for people needing to watch potassium, like with kidney conditions. Always check the label.
Okay, health covered. Let's switch to the kitchen. Because this stuff is a baking powerhouse.
Oh, absolutely. That acidity is like magic for baking.
How does that work?
It reacts with baking soda and alkali, creating carbon dioxide gas. That's your lift. Think fluffy pancakes, tall biscuits, Irish soda bread.
The bubbles.
Exactly. And the acid also tenderizes gluten, so you get a softer, more tender crumb in your cakes or breads.
And not just baking, marinades too, right? Fried chicken.
Classic use. That acidity tenderizes the meat beautifully.
It's so versatile. The source is even mentioned, like traditional skincare.
Yeah, the lactic acid acts as a mild exfoliant. And of course, back to Ayurveda and Takra revered specifically for digestive wellness.
So, bottom line,
Yeah.
you see buttermilk, maybe you just think pancakes, but it's actually this incredibly humble ingredient with this really deep history and some surprising science packed in.
It really is. It's journeyed from this ancient accidental thing to a modern staple. It's got cultural weight, it's nutritious, and way more interesting than it looks.
So considering that long history, food and remedy, and especially those hints about MFGM in traditional buttermilk, here's the thought. Does modern science, mostly looking at the cultured stuff, really grasp the full potential of buttermilk in its original forms?
That's a fantastic question to leave you with. A lot to think about there. Thanks for sharing the sources that let us explore all this.